Myrcella? Myrcella?
For the watch.
Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's Game of Thrones Season 6 prediction video on who's going to die. This video is the last video in my series where I predict what will happen in Season 6 of Game of Thrones. This video is for my predictions on who I think will die in Season 6. So I'll have to give a spoiler warning for Game of Thrones up to Season 5. I'll also have to give a spoiler warning for the Song of Ice and Fire novels on which it is based, as several of my death predictions are deaths that have already occurred in the books. And a spoiler warning for filming and production news for Season 6. If you don't want to know anything about what's been confirmed for Season 6, then this video may not be for you. So those familiar with my brother's channel, @KenTomko, will know he also does Game of Thrones prediction videos, and every year he likes to do a who's going to die video. Last year I wasn't brave enough to try one myself, but this year I thought, oh what the hell, I might as well give it a go. However, a lot of these people I'm not too certain about. I'm kind of just throwing some names out there and see if anything sticks. Mainly, this is wishful thinking, as I'm mainly choosing characters I think the story can afford to lose, and I haven't chosen any characters to die that I don't want to die, except for one possibility which I'll mention later, but we'll see. So some of these death predictions I've mentioned previously in my Season 6 predictions series, and some occurred in the novels, but others will be fresh predictions for this video. So let me get started, as I'll go location by location and name who I think will die according to each region, and we'll start with north of the wall, where Bran will be hanging out with the three-eyed raven. I mentioned in my prediction video for Bran that it is my prediction that at the end of the season, Bran will send Hodor, Mirror, and Leaf out on a mission to scout the White Walkers, and Bran would accompany them in warg form. I also mentioned that I felt the mission would go horribly wrong and be a failure. What I failed to mention was exactly how it would be a failure, and that is Mirror will be killed. They will mess up somehow to raise the stakes and further drive home the point how dangerous the White Walkers are. They will kill Mirror Reed this season, so she's my pick to die north of the wall. So next we'll go to the north, where there's going to be a lot of battling going on and political shifts and whatnot. So let me start off my predictions on who will die by stating a filming rumor I heard that Ramsey will kill two known characters and hang them on crosses at the battle. These characters are said to have appeared in the show previously. So I've given a lot of thought to who these characters might be, and I came up with two possibilities. The first possibility is the one I think is most likely and is my main pick, and that is these characters are Roose and Walder Bolton. Yes, I told you my death predictions were wishful thinking, and you can't get any more wishful thinking than this. However, when you think about it, it makes sense, as last season they were playing up the fact that Walder was pregnant, and how Ramsey was paranoid that Roose might try to disregard him. So I think not only will Ramsey kill Walda to prevent her from giving birth, he'll also kill Roose to prevent him from siring any another child, and to effectively make himself Warden of the North. Now you may think it doesn't make much sense for him to hang Roose and Walda as a warning to the approaching Stark army, since they wanted to kill Roose anyway. However, I think it makes perfect sense. It's Ramsey's way of telling the Starks that he's in charge and not to fuck with him. But yes, I will admit that is wishful thinking, so my second choice, which pains the hell out of me to say, so I hope it's not the case, is Osha, and another one I'm really hoping that I'm wrong, but it's the best I can come up with, and that's Davos. This scenario would go along with the prediction I made in my Littlefinger predictions video, where I predicted that Ramsey would abduct Sansa and hold her captive and use her as a trump card when it looks like the Stark army is going to win. So in this case, Davos and Osha would have been her bodyguards, the ones protecting her, and Ramsey either took them or killed them in the process of capturing Sansa and will hang their bodies up as a way of letting everyone know that he has Sansa. But that's just my guess. Either way, I do think that Roose and Walda Bolton will die this season, as will Osha. I'm picking her to go as well. Davos, on the other hand, is one guy I don't want to die, and I don't think he'll die unless we go with that scenario I just mentioned. Other candidates to die in the North, as I mentioned in my video, the new Lord Karstark. I believe Sansa will use her cunning to set wheels in motion to have him killed because he'll be a hindrance to a Stark alliance. But what I didn't mention in that video is that I think Small John Umber will die as well. I know there's rumors that the Umbers will be fighting for the Boltons. However, there hasn't been any proof that I've seen, and until it's been proven to me, I will refuse to believe that's the case. And so I say Small John will die in the battle fighting for the Starks. So next we'll go to the Riverlands, where I stated in my Sansa video I felt Bronn and Podrick would survive. I know this is back when I was predicting Sansa would go to the Riverlands, which I now know will not happen because she's been confirmed to be in the North at the end of the season. But those predictions still hold. However, I did mention in that video that there would be a Frey battle commander leading the Frey side of the siege of Riverrun. Whether this be a character from the books or someone invented for the show, I'm not sure. I just know it will be a Frey commander and that he will die when the Riverland forces break the siege of Riverrun. Also to die in the Riverlands will be the Outlaws, who have been cast for Season 6. We already have names for them, but I can't recall them at the moment. But either way, it's my prediction that Arya will kill them. Another death prediction I'll add for this video is I believe that before the Outlaws die, they will kill Septon Merybald. Now, as I covered in my Samwell video, that there's an interview with Ian McShane which would highly suggest that he's playing Septon Merybald, and that also he referred to him as a one-off character. Many people are taking that to mean that he will only be in one episode, but that may not necessarily be the case, and even though that was previously my prediction, I'm now changing it to say that he will appear earlier in the season when he meets Samwell and introduces the Gravedigger, but that he will reappear in Arya's storyline towards the end of the season with the Outlaws, where the Outlaws will kill him. And that will up the stakes for Arya. So I think, he by one-off character, Ian McShane meant he won't appear again because he'll be dead. So now we'll go to the Iron Islands, where we finally get the death that happened in the books like forever ago, and that is the death of Balon Greyjoy, who died in a storm of swords, and he died before the events of the Red Wedding, which would chronologically put it in season 3, and yet he's still alive in the show. But no more. I think this season he's finally done for, and like in the books, I believe he'll die off screen and there'll be some mystery surrounding his death. Like, was he killed by Euron Greyjoy? Did Euron hire a faceless man to kill him? I think these mysteries will also exist in the show, but not Balon. He's dead. But to be clear, I don't think he'll appear this season. He'll just hear about his death, which will happen off screen. So next we'll go to King's Landing, where I'm going to talk about 2 more characters that have already died in the books. Now you may think it's kind of cheating to predict the death of characters who've already died in the books, because just because they died in the books doesn't necessarily mean that they'll die in the show, and it doesn't mean that it will happen this season, as the example of Balon, who was supposed to die 3 seasons ago. So I think it's worth mentioning. However, With Balon, it's a pretty sure thing he's going to die because there's been filming links that the Kingsmoot is being filmed, and that's kind of dependent on his death. However, these next two characters may very well survive Season 6, just as they survived Season 5. But I'm predicting that they won't. And I'm of course referring to Kevan Lannister and Grand Maester Pycelle. Like the books, I think they will be killed by Varys in order to destabilize the alliance between the Tyrells and the Lannisters. But unlike the books, I think we'll be able to see the fruits of his labor this season. I did mention these deaths in my Cersei prediction video, and I also mentioned in that video my next pick, which is Mace Tyrell, who I think will be killed by Robert Strong, aka Frankenmountain, in a botched attempt to kill Marjorie, and that his death will spark out an out-and-out conflict between the Lannisters and the Tyrells. One more death I'll pick in King's Landing that I didn't mention before is Qyburn. I believe now that Robert Strong is fully functional, he will no longer be needed story-wise and thus will be killed off. I believe he will be killed by the Tyrell forces when they attack the Lannisters. Okay, so next we'll go to the Reach, where I'll name a character whose death I predicted in my Theon video, and that is Randyll Tarly, who I think will die in battle against the Ironborn when they attack the Reach, but he will be survived by Dickon. After that, we'll go to Dorne, where I didn't mention this before, but I am now predicting that Ellaria Sand will die. In my Prince Doran video, I said I predicted he would not execute her, and I'm standing by that prediction. However, I'm now saying she'll still die, although maybe by accident when some fighting goes down, or more likely Cersei will learn she was directly responsible for killing Marcella and will send an assassin to kill her, and that would certainly get the Sand Snakes all riled up. So now we'll go to Bravos to name a death that I don't know if it even counts as a death, and that's the Waif. It doesn't really count because the Waif is no one. As Season 5 finale proved, the Faceless Men are just a bunch of, well, faceless men with no real identity, and for all we know, the two characters of Jake and Hagar in the Waif that we saw in Season 5 could have been like 20 guys just rotating faces. So just because the Waif dies doesn't mean we won't see her again because it's just a face. However, I do believe that a faceless man wearing her face will be killed by Arya in a test in order to prove her worth, which I talk about more in my Arya predictions video. And finally, we come to Meereen, where I'm going to predict a somewhat major death, probably the most major of all of my picks, and it's the one I'm not really sure about, but I'm going to say Dario, just because I think someone needs to die in Meereen, and I think he's the most expendable as far as the show goes. I think he's a complication for Daenerys and kind of in the way of her moving forward, so I think he will die in the Sons of the Harpy attack. So, to sum up all the deaths I'm predicting in Season 6, the characters I think will die are Mira Reed, Roose Bolton, Walder Frey Bolton, Osha, possibly Davos, but probably not, Lord Karstark, the Small John Umber, the Frey Commander, the Outlaws, Septon Maribold, Balon Greyjoy, Grand Maester Pycelle, Kevan Lannister, Mace Tyrell, Qyburn, Randyll Tarly, Ellaria Sand, the Waif, and Dario. So you can see I kind of played it safe. But anyway, those are my predictions. So I'll do next what my brother does in his Who Will Die videos and give my pick on who will survive. I'm not going to go with his pick, which was Sansa, even though I agree with that pick. Instead, I'm going to choose a character whom I've seen a lot more people saying will die. In fact, I'm going to give two picks on who I think will survive because these are two characters I've seen everyone and their mothers predict will die in Season 6, including my brother Abkindamko. So my runner-up pick, the pick I'm less sure about but will throw out there anyway on who will survive, is Tommen Baratheon. You know, I can see why a lot of people are picking him to die. What with Marcella's death last year and the Maggie the Frog prophecy that says his death is inevitable. But I think it's a bit too soon because when Tommen dies, this creates a power vacuum, as there'll be no clear heir left to the throne, and I think it's a bit too soon for that. So I think Tommen's death is more of a season 7 thing rather than a season 6 thing. So he's my runner-up on who I think will survive in season 6. However, my main pick, my number one pick on who most definitely 100% will survive in season 6 is a character that everyone seems so certain will die in season 6, and that is Recon Stark. You know, I just don't see it happening. I think it would be much better way to serve the story if he survives. I know there's been a rumor that a Stark will die this season, which is why many are saying Rickon, some are saying Sansa. I'm saying that rumor is false, and it wouldn't be unprecedented, as there are many rumors about season 5 that turned out not to be true, as there were, there was no substantiated visual proof, which this one has no substantiated visual proof. I also heard a rumor that a young character that we haven't seen for several seasons will tragically die, which couldn't be anyone other than Rickon. But again, I'm saying that rumor is false, and that one is far more unsubstantiated, by the way. So my firm, bold prediction is that Recon Stark will survive season 6. So, as I always say in my videos, these predictions are all just wild shots in the dark. I'll be surprised if I get 20% of these predictions correct, and if I do, I'll consider it a resounding success. However, I think this holds even more true for this video than my previous ones. As for this video, I was kind of just throwing shit out there, so I will be really impressed if I get 20% or more of these predictions correct. So that's it for my Game of Thrones Who's Going to Die predictions video for season 6. I have a special announcement I'd like to make. A little more than a year ago, I made a short film that was screened at a local arts festival in a small town in New Zealand. Ever since then, I've been trying to decide what to do with it, whether I should try to submit it to more festivals or whatever. Well, recently I decided to release it to my YouTube channel and share it with all of you. I'm mainly sick of just sitting on it and would like to get it out there. It's called Life of Enchantment, and it's 7 minutes long and was made with a zero budget, where I put about $300 of my own money into it, which is next to nothing for films, and considering that, I think it turned out really good. It was made by a team of aspiring professionals who are trying to break into the film industry. I will be putting it up on my channel shortly after the new year, so please show your support for my channel and for me by checking it out. Give it a thumbs up and a positive comment, and share it around as much as possible. It will be a great way to show your support for my channel, as I would really appreciate it. As for my Game of Thrones videos, this is the last video in my Season 6 prediction videos. However, I will be doing updates as more information comes out for Season 6, whether that be a trailer or behind the scenes information. I'll also be doing a Season 6 prediction summary video that sums up all my predictions for Season 6, including any corrections I've had to make since the original videos came out. I will also be doing another live Game of Thrones Q&A video sometime in January, and I know many of you have been asking about this, but I will also plan on doing some more discussion videos with my brother Atkin Tomko. We'll do a whole series where we compare the predictions that we've both made, which will probably come out in February, possibly sooner, we'll see. So make sure you subscribe so you can keep up with all that, and be sure to check out my short film Life of Enchantment, come out just after New Year's, and thanks a lot for watching.